When I was in college, when my freshman year, I drove back to my youth group because I played drums and I did a bunch of different things in there. So I was serving in the youth ministry after I graduated out. It was an hour drive from college, and so I'd drive in and get there early to do like the worship practice and all that. And so after service, I'd drive home. It was usually pretty late because I hung out for a while. And I would be hungry because I was like a 19-year-old guy and we never stopped eating. And so and the other problem was I had no money because I was in college. And so I would stop at Jack in the Box and get 4 tacos for $2. I don't know if you've ever had are they still 99 cents? They're barely even tacos though, okay? It's like they take a shell, they squirt meat in, okay? They take hamburger cheese and cut that in half and put that in there, squirt some other stuff. I don't know. It's like, I think it all comes out of a tube. And then they fry it. These are deep fried tacos, okay? And so they're like greasy, all this. And so then I get in my car and it's like a back road most of the way home, okay? Like kind of like the street out here by the church. So I'm driving 70, 75 miles an hour and my foot in the gas and my knee on the steering wheel eating my tacos, because I got to put the sauce in there, and that takes 2 hands, and I put the bag down because it drip, and so I did this every Wednesday on my way. I'm eating my 4 tacos stupidly driving at night with my like that. So one of the times, so I got done eating, and I put my stuff aside, and the drive was out in the country, and so if you go out, like some of you noticed at the retreat, when you're out of the city, there's so many more stars. Y'all know what I'm talking about? It's like, what? Where's all these stars? Okay, so I've always really liked stars. Like when I was a kid, I just wanted a telescope. I thought that was the coolest thing, so that you can look at the star, and instead of it being this big, it's like that big, okay? And so, but there were so many, and so I was just driving down this back road, and I just looked up for a second, just because I was like, wow, look at all that. And when I did, my right tire hit the grass, okay, because it's the really narrow road, and it scared me, because when you're driving, all of a sudden you hear, it's just scary, okay, so I jerked back onto the road. Well, the road was slightly wet, and so when I jerked, I skid, and I realized I was going sideways, so I hit the brake, which made it worse, and I didn't stop, and so then I go off the road, and it goes straight down, like cut towards the trees. And so now I'm watching the trees get closer and closer. Both feet are now on the brake, pushing as hard as I can, going straight towards the trees. And then like right before the trees was down, and there was like a little bump. So my car hits that bump and goes boof and stops. And I get out, I'm literally 1 foot from the trees. There's just enough room for me to get between my car and that. And it's muddy, and so I have a little two-wheel drive, tiny like 1-cylinder car, okay? And I am stuck in the mud and all that, and it was bad. People had to tow me out and all that. I didn't have a cell phone. Okay, because I hadn't got one yet. I didn't get one until my sophomore year in college. And some of you are complaining because you had to wait till you were like in 5th grade, But I was a sophomore before I got. Actually, it was that made my parents want to get me a cell phone. Because I had to go walk out on the middle of the road. And I was just standing on the road until a car came, 70 miles an hour. I'm like, hey, please don't hit me, stop. And then they drove me into town. And anyways, so that was that. But it all started because I looked at the stars, right? And I got a little bit distracted. Who can drive? Anybody? Okay, so a lot of you can drive. Some of you are like, I want to drive. When you started driving, did your parents have a rule about cell phones in the car? Any of you? I know a lot of people, their parents tell them they cannot touch it in the car. Like they have a space it goes, and if they get caught doing that, they get their license taken away. And the reason is because teenagers have accidents all the time texting. Not just teenagers, though, okay? I've noticed older people are way worse about this even, okay? I drive, y'all know where I live, right? I drive this far to work, like a quarter mile. And this last week, 2 people swerved in front of me and then swerved back on their phones. Like I'm coming down my little quarter mile, and they come over in my lane, and then they go whoop, 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 and they kind of lose control for a second, and then they regain. And as soon as I get up, last time, it was a 70-year-old grandma, and she was going, come on. Because everybody knows texting and driving. Why? Because distractions while driving are dangerous, okay? And so there's all the, stuff about that. And I was in a wreck because I was distracted, not by a phone, but by something else. Because distractions while driving are definitely dangerous. We want to keep our eyes on the road. Now, the reason I talk about that, not because we need to learn about cell phones, maybe some of you need to stop texting and driving, but because I've noticed, and you may have seen this, that a lot of times Christians get distracted and they take their eyes off what they should and put it on other things, and it sometimes ends up in a crash, okay? Their life ends up kind of crashed, or they end up away from God. A lot of you have, at some point, had a relationship with God, and maybe do now, or you can remember a time when you did, and you want to have that, and you want to keep that, but you end up in the ditch, and metaphorically, okay, instead of in a relationship with God. You end up drifting off and crashing. And I've known lots of friends that caused wrecks, okay, including me. I caused that one with myself. But I've known a lot of people that have caused wrecks. I've never known anyone that the reason they caused a wreck was because they were driving down 35, Highway 35, you know, okay, and then they thought, you know what, I'm tired of going this way. Okay, now that's a good way to die and have a wreck. But you will certainly have a wreck if you do that. But I've never known anyone. But I have known people that were driving and thought, oh, I want to get something out of the back seat. Boom, right on 35, okay? Just hit somebody, texting, and all the different things, got distracted and drifted into somebody. Never just decided one day, turn around. And I honestly have never known a Christian who is going for God, living for God, and just one day said, you know what, I'm tired of this, I'm going to go that way. But I've known tons that drifted and ended up somewhere else. I've known tons that had a good life and were living in a good way and then ended up really, really hurt, really, really messed up because they let their life drift. Now, there's a lot of things we could talk about. In fact, a few weeks ago, I did a message called Don't Drift, okay? Except I used a big floaty. Some of you remember that. And it was about how sin is a distraction, okay? And it certainly is. If you let sin be something that you focus on, it will distract you. And if you're interested in that, just look it up. It's at iHeartAmplify.com. So we're not going to talk, though, about that kind of a distraction. In fact, I want to look at not what distracts us, because there's tons of things, okay? But what we should focus on. Because if we can focus on something, the distractions won't matter. And they're endless. They're endless distractions that can hurt your life. But if we can keep our eyes on the road, and whatever the road is, okay, then we can be less distracted. So as I was thinking about this, the first verse that came into my head was Hebrews 2:12, if I can talk. It says, let us fix our eyes on Jesus. So he would be like the road and the cars, that we're keeping our eyes on. But this even itself is kind of broad. I mean, okay, I'm going to be like Jesus. That's a lot we could talk about, right? So I want to kind of zero in on one idea. And if you brought your Bibles, anybody bring them? Bibles? I liked it at the retreat because you all had them, okay? But yeah, I see some Bibles, okay? You can turn to Luke 15, Luke chapter 15. We're going to be there in a second. We're going to look at one thing about Jesus. In fact, what if Jesus was driving, would he be looking at? Now, I'm not talking about a car, okay? He'd be looking at the same thing as you, the road and the cars in front of him. I'm talking about life. What was it that he focused on that was so important to him? And we're going to look at that, okay? So it's Luke chapter 15. I'm going to start in verse 1. Everybody okay? No? Turn to somebody and say, I'm excited. Even if you don't mean it, just pretend. Okay. Luke 15:1. Now the tax collectors and sinners were all gathering around to hear him. Now, you all have adjectives that you use to describe people. You maybe never thought about this, but you describe people in different ways, okay? You talking to somebody, you might be talking to me and be like, oh yeah, he's like the rich people, okay? Or, there's pretty people, right? And then there's not pretty people. there's the nice people that you know, and then there's jerks, mean people. Okay, we have these labels. There's Trump people and anti-Trump people. There's Republicans, Democrats, there's that kind of thing. There's different people. You might even say some people are kind of like my people. Those are my kind of people. Those are the people I like to hang around with, and those are not my people. Those are people I don't want to, I'm sorry about this section. Y'all seem to be the bad on all of these. Okay, anyways, y'all are beautiful, all right? But we use these adjectives. Now, these people that he's talking about, they were actually described. Look, sinners. This is their adjective, okay? Like when people talk about them, oh yeah, there's the sinner group. So that they're not doing very well, okay? And tax collectors, we could get into that. They were actually considered worse than sinners, okay? Like they had a whole category. The sinners would be offended if they were put in the same category as tax collectors. That's how bad they were. Okay, so this is the situation. Now, what's really interesting is it says they were gathering around to hear him. They're talking about Jesus. They were gathering around. No one was forcing them to be around Jesus. They wanted to. Now that may surprise you, but people that were so bad their adjective was sinner wanted to be around Jesus. And people did not understand that. Like the Christian or religious people, they did not understand that. In fact, they didn't like it. But then we're going to skip down a couple verses. Jesus tells some parables, some stories. We're going to look at one of them. And we kind of see why I think that sinners liked him, or these kind of people. And well, he didn't label them as sinners, first of all. That's not a good way to start a relationship. Hello, sinner. I mean, try to school this new person. Hey, sinner, what's up? You're not going to have any friends. Okay. But so we would not only do we see how he treated them, but we're going to see what he would focus on. And if we can learn to focus on that, it will keep us from being distracted and will keep us in a strong relationship with God. So here we go. He says in verse 4, starting in verse 4, suppose one of you has 100 sheep and loses one of them. Does he not leave the 99 in the open country and go after the lost sheep until he finds it? Now this does not resonate with any of you. None of you are like, oh yeah. Now see, these people might have had sheep that he was talking to. None of you have sheep, so none of you are really excited about this illustration that Jesus is telling you. But we've all lost something, right? Yes, okay, so your keys, your phone. Some of you, if you lose your phone, you're in a total panic, okay? I don't know what to do with my life. Okay, it was funny at the retreat watching people in the bus go, I don't know what to do. Do we talk to each other? I don't know. How does this work? Anyways, when I was in college, I had a system, okay? Every time I would leave my apartment or my dorm, I would check. And I still use it today. Okay, it started in college and I still use it. Before I leave my house, I go, wallet, cell phone, keys. I got to check for the 3 important things. Wallet, cell phone, keys. I touch them literally to make sure that I have them. It started in college because my college dorm, when it closed, the door it automatically locked. You couldn't unlock it. It was permanently locked. You had to have a key to get back in. And so over and over again, when I first started, I would walk out of the door would close, and I'd go, my keys. And I locked my keys in my dorm room over and over. So eventually, one other thing would happen. I would go off to school and I would go through my day and I'd get to the cafeteria for lunch, go to get my wallet out so I could get my student ID, and I forgot my wallet. And I had to take the 10-minute trip back to my dorm and all this kind of stuff. So eventually I learned, check, wallet, cell phone, keys. And I still do it today. And you know what? When I am leaving my house in the morning and I go wallet, cell phone, keys, where I see, as soon as I find that one of them is missing, what do? I go find them, okay? I got to go find the one that's missing. It does not matter that I have the other 2. If I have my cell phone in my wallet, I'm not going anywhere without my keys, right? And I go and I look. Now, you guys, this is so stupid, but we all deal with this and we all live there. Okay, so he's saying it's like something is lost that's important that I can't do without. And so he goes to find it. And he looks until he finds it. And when he finds it, he joyfully puts it on his shoulders and goes home. Just the other day, it was on a Sunday, I lost my wallet. And I was looking everywhere in the house. I mean, they're like literally like just moving everything because my bedroom's a mess. Anybody live there? Okay, my clothes are everywhere. My wife puts hers in the drawer. I put mine on the floor. And so we're looking forever. And I think I must have left it at the restaurant because we went out to eat. We're calling the restaurant. I even sent Tracy to the restaurant. So she's like driving over there and I'm still looking. And I found it in the closet. And I tell you what, when I found it though, I was like, oh, finally. I mean, and I put it in my pocket. I didn't put it on my shoulders, but I put it in my pocket, and I was able to keep going. But I felt, yes, it was not lost or stolen at the restaurant. I felt that joy, okay? And if you've ever lost something important and found it, some of you lost your phone, you found your phone, you felt that, okay? And so he keeps going, and he says, then he calls his friends and neighbors together and says, rejoice with me, I have found my lost sheep. Now, that's a little weird, okay? You lose your phone, you're not going to like have a party, okay? Hey, I'm having everybody over. I found my phone. We're having a party. You're weird, okay? Now, maybe if I lost Emery, okay, my daughter, First of all, can you imagine that conversation? I call my wife. Hey, well, I just want to let you know I still have my keys and my wallet, but I lost Emery. Don't know where she's at. Okay, yeah, be in trouble. But if I did lose Emery, and she was gone for a few days, and then she came back, you would not think it was weird if I had a party, right? Because my daughter who was lost is now found. You're like, I found my daughter, we're having a party. Okay, that would not be weird. And so maybe this is a little weird talking about sheep, but he's not actually talking about sheep, if y'all figured that out. He lets us know he's not talking about sheep in the next verse. He says, I tell you in the same way, there will be more rejoicing in heaven over one sinner who repents than over 99 righteous persons who do not need to repent. So he's like, hey, I'm not actually talking about sheep, okay? And then he does another one, like basically the same story with coins, okay? And he's not talking about coins. He's talking about people, right? That when people are away from God, what he wants is for them to be found. If you are away from God, you may think that he would label you bad, that he would label you, sinner. But what he labels you is lost, disconnected from him, that he wants to find you. And the people that we know that are lost, that's how he would label them, how he would talk about them. In fact, he tells the coin one, and then he tells one, if you grew up in church, you probably heard the prodigal son. If you didn't grow up in church, you're like, that's a weird word, prodigal. But if you grew up in church, you heard the prodigal son one. Basically, the story is this. There's the father, and his son's like, I don't like you, takes half of the money and leaves, okay? And so he loses his son. His son just goes off. His son comes back. We don't know how much later. And when he does that, the father is so excited, he throws a party. He's like, my son is back. Kind of like the Emery thing, okay? His son was lost and now is back, and he throws a party. And then he's explaining to his son, his other son that didn't leave, why they threw a party. And this is the last verse. He says this, verse 32. We had to celebrate and be glad because of your brothers. Sorry. I can't read sometimes. Okay, and be glad. Because this brother of yours was dead and is alive again. He was lost and is found. He was lost and is found. Now, he wasn't dead, okay, but he was like dead to him. He was gone. He might as well. He was lost, but now he is found. And this is what Jesus focused on in his ministry. When he was on the world, when he was on walking like us, he focused on people that were lost, people that were away from him, people that were not connected, that were disconnected from God. And if we will learn to focus on them, it will focus our lives. It will keep you from being distracted. Helping the disconnected become connected was Jesus' focus. And it can be, and it really should be ours as well. It's hard, think about this, it's hard to be like Christ if you don't do what Christ is doing. Think about it. It's hard to be like Christ if you don't do what Christ would do. Maybe you should tweet that, okay? It would be hard to be like Christ. It's hard to be like Christ if you don't do what Christ would do. And what Christ would do is he would go after lost people. He would look for lost people. Why? Because he cares for them. Now, if Jonathan lost his keys somewhere in this youth hall tonight, okay, after service, he'd be looking for them, and he might come to you, have you seen my keys? And you go, nah. And you wouldn't really care because you're going home. But he's not going home until he finds his keys. It's a big deal to him to find his keys, okay? And so he's going to keep looking. And I think sometimes we hear about, oh, yeah, there's these lost people, and we don't really care. But we're not really talking about keys. We're talking about people. In fact, we're talking about your friends, really. We're talking about people that you know. We're talking about maybe some people you're going to meet. But we're talking about God's children, right? There are people that are lost to him. And I think we need to feel that. But not only is it the father who's missing out, right, who's looking for a sheep. Have you ever thought about, like he uses that parable of sheep that are lost? When a sheep is lost, it's really bad for them. I was reading a story, okay, this week. And in Turkey, and I don't know exactly, Turkey, the country Turkey, in the Middle East. I'm like, Thanksgiving, yeah. No, in the country Turkey, in the Middle East, there's some shepherds, and they had like a huge flock, 1,500, or actually they have thousands. And the sheep are dumb. Did y'all know this? They have to have a shepherd. So the shepherds went to eat breakfast. And the sheep started, while they were eating, and they weren't paying attention, walking off a cliff. Literally, one walked off and fell 15 meters, okay? And another one, and another one, and another one. And it says 400 sheep fell. And then another 1,100 animals fell also. So a total of 1,500 fell. Now, the first 400 died. The others basically fell on, a big pillow, and they didn't die. So 1,000 of them and 100 survived by falling on the other. I'm sorry. But sheep are dumb, okay? They're like, hey, a cliff. But, okay, they fall off. Sheep they do not survive without a shepherd. They have problems. They also are very defenseless, okay? If you think about like a sheep, they can't, if you put a sheep out by himself, you've basically given nature a snack because they have no way of fighting back or doing anything. I mean, like, if you think about a dog, okay, a dog will bark, right? It'd be like really mean, like, rah, rah, rah. I've seen a little kitten even, scare off a big dog because cats are like, right? And they do that thing. What does a sheep do? I mean, that's not scaring off anybody, right? And they have no defense. They have no teeth. I mean, if you get in a fight, I mean, what good is a cotton ball going to do you? You're like, hey, man, stay away from me. Okay, cotton balls aren't going to do you any good. And that's basically what a sheep is, just a big cotton ball. If they're getting attacked, they're in trouble. Okay, they're defenseless. So what I'm saying about sheep, when sheep are lost, sheep are hurting. When sheep are lost, sheep are not having a good time. And I know that this is true, that when people are away from God, that there is times when they are hurting. And I know that it's true, and you know it is true, because if you can think of a time in your life when you were away, or maybe you are away, you have felt that hurt. Because I know in my life, and there have been times when I was drifted, okay, and I was not really following God, and I was doing kind of my own thing, and I felt the hurt. And I felt that disconnect, and I did some really stupid things, and I, walked off some cliffs, and then some stuff came at me, and I was like, and it didn't go away. And because sheep, when they're lost, are hurt. And people, you have friends that are hurting because they do not have the relationship with God that you have. That are hurting because they do not have that connection. And when we realize that, and it becomes so important to us that is what we look at. It doesn't matter where I'm at in my life. See, it doesn't matter what career you choose someday. If you want to be a doctor, a lawyer, a basketball player, if you want to clean the streets and pick up trash, whatever you want to do, if your focus is, wherever I'm at, I'm looking for people that need to be connected to God, you're going to have something that takes you forward and keeps you from being distracted. Like I'm being by these two girls over here talking and poking each other. All right, so it'll keep you from being distracted, right? If you'll have that focus on Him. Now, for the last few years, I guess maybe 2 or 3 years, I have been working and trying and asking other people to help me figure out a statement, kind of, that would summarize what our youth group is about. A mission statement, like something that's like, what are we about as a youth group? In fact, I even had people write ideas and give them to me, and I've been working on this for a long time, and never found anything I liked. Monday at 11:15, okay, I'm sitting in the Chick-fil-A parking lot eating my Chick-fil-A fries, right? The big waffle fries because they're delicious, and I'm dipping them in my barbecue sauce, and I'm eating them sitting there because I'm about to go to school, and I'm listening to a preacher just because I'm kind of thinking about some stuff, and while I was listening and eating, I was just thinking about our youth group, and it finally came. Years of thinking, and I believe I found a summary of what our youth group is about. And this is what it is for me, and I hope that you will adopt this as well, that our mission is to create a place where the unconnected get connected. Our mission, this is what I want our youth group to be about, this is what we are about, is that we will create a place where the unconnected get connected. In fact, this is so important. I'm going to do something weird. I'm going to have you say it after me. Can you say, to create a place where the unconnected get connected? Yeah. To create a place, this is the place, where the unconnected get connected. That's what we want to see. We want to see people connected. And here's what I mean by there's two sides to that connected. First of all, they are connected to God's people. Do you know who God's people are? That's you, okay? Don't think me, okay? People don't even want to connect with me, okay? They come in as like, why would I want? Okay, they want to connect with you, okay? You're who I'm talking about. First of all, we want to see them connected to God's people, which is you. People need to connect with you. People need you to connect with them. So we want to be a place. When people come in, they get connected. They feel connected. They become connected to God's people. Now, that's going somewhere, but it starts there where they're connected to them. I was talking to a guy a few weeks ago. He was new. He'd been here a couple times. And he said, when I'm at school, I feel like I have to try to fit in. Like I have to do things to fit in. Some of you felt that way at school before. He said, but when I'm here, I feel like I can be myself. And I want everybody to experience that. I want everybody to feel like this is a place that they can come in and they're connected and people care about them and they could fit in and that they're not going to be condemned. A lot of people feel condemned when they go to church. Now, convicted, I'm okay with that. We all need to be convicted every now and then. But never judged, never condemned, never you're bad. We want to show disconnected or unconnected people that this is a place where they can be connected. Now, what does that mean for you as a person, as an individual? Our individual focus is simple, to connect the unconnected, right? The people that are not connected to God's people or to God, we are working, we are trying, we are thinking of ways to get them to connect. Now, what I've learned and what we've learned over the years, and other youth pastors ask me, how do you get teenagers to come? I mean, what's the deal? And I said, you've got to help people make friendships. Because when people come in, they don't really, they're not going to be that impressed with me, okay? They're not going to be that impressed with the stuff that's going on up here. And in fact, most people, their first time worship is weird, okay? They're like, whoa, okay? But they're kind of intrigued. Some of you were your first time, you're like, well, these people seem really excited about something. Why are they so excited? Okay, and so that's a good thing for people to see our worship. That's an important thing. But the most attractive thing to somebody is a friend. It's friends. It's the connection. It's you guys. So we connect them there, and our ultimate thing is to see them connected to God. If they're lost or disconnected, we want them found. We want them to be connected to Him. We need some more people like Jess. Where are you, Jess? I've been looking for you. There you are. Jess. Now let me just tell you something about Jess. At any time, if a junior high girl or high school girl, really, just anybody kind of her age walks into our building, I go find Jess. Okay, because I know, Jess, it doesn't matter what she's doing. She could be hanging out with her friends. She could be doing this. I'll go over and say, hey, Jess, there's this new girl here. And she'll go, okay. And she'll come over and she'll find that new person and she'll just sit down and she'll talk with them and she'll even I've seen her give her entire evening to this new person she's never met before. Why? Because she wants to see the unconnected become connected. We need more people like that. We need people like Jordan. Jordan on Sunday morning. I'll tell you something about both of these people. The reason I know, and there are others, I'm just picking out a couple. They're always here. And I know that if they connect with somebody and that person comes back, they're going to be here. We need people like that. So on Sunday morning, a new guy comes in. I'm like, hey, Jordan, there's a high school guy over there. What does he do? He goes, grabs a friend, and they go over, and they talk to him, and they help the unconnected feel connected. And you know what? We need you. We need everybody. Now, if 5 or 10 of you would do this, we'll do a lot. If 50 of you will do this, we can change a ton of stuff. If everybody in our youth group would do this, people would be saying, I heard that like all of BHS and CHS goes to your church. What's going on? Because we would change everything. If we would connect the unconnected. And you know what? The other thing is your life will become so focused. All the distractions that come will not matter. Because there's always going to be stuff. There's going to be stuff that tries to drag you off over here. Maybe it's a sin. Maybe it's like some, thing where you're just getting so busy. But you're like, wait, I've got this thing that I'm doing. I'm connecting the unconnected. It will keep you focused. It will keep those distractions from you. The people that I have known in my life that were the strongest in God, the thing that drove them was helping people find God. And you can do that too. But our vision as a youth, our mission as a youth group is to create a place where the unconnected get connected. And that's really what we've been about for a long time. I just never put it into words before. So are you going to help me do that? I hope that you will. So tonight what I want to do is we're going to pray all together and believe. Because 2017 is almost here. We got 1 month. This is the last day of November. And December is awesome. It's going to be a fun month. We're going to do the tacky sweaters and the hot chocolate and all that kind of stuff there. And we're going to have a good time. But every year in January and February, those 2 months, we have more new people come into our youth group than any time of the year. Last year, we grew like 20% in 1 month. Now, I tell you that because I need you. I need you to believe in this and help us do this. And you think I'm talking to the person next to you. I'm not. I'm talking to you. Because if we will all get on this, then we're going to make a big difference. And it would be easy for us to say, we have enough. You know, the books, like I read youth ministry books because I'm trying to make things, as good as I can. They say that the size church we are, we should have 30 people in our youth group. That's you guys, okay? You guys that are extra, okay? And so we could say, we're done. We can let all of you leave and just have you and still have a normal size youth. I don't care about that. I don't care how many we have. I just want to see people saved. I want to see people that are lost connected. I want to see your friend that you sit with at lunch that does not believe in God because they went to church and church was lame and people were jerks and cliquey and all that, come to our youth group and go, that one's different. The only thing that'll make it different is you. I do not, and I have heard people say that they do not come here anymore because the people here were cliquey. And I'm like, oh, I want to smack somebody because we're not going to be cliquey, all right? We're not going to be that way. And never should anyone feel that when they come here. And they won't. If you will help me, let this be a reality. That we will see make this a place where the unconnected become connected. Let's pray all together. Father God, I thank you for this amazing group of young people that you've brought to this church. I pray that we would help you find the lost, that we would have a heart that cares for them, that wants to change things. I pray that they would become so focused on your mission that the distractions that come at them won't matter because they're going after your mission. And I thank you for it in Jesus' name. Amen.